place. Hard sports all place. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all place, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so type the laces. Hard sports all plays. Network. Hard sports all plays. Network. We on top of our game. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays.
Long time no see, ASAP Network. What's going on, everybody? We are here for ASAP Real Talk. My name is Second Place. Alongside with me, we've got Freddie Henderson, Chris Brown, and Coach Cam. How we doing tonight, fellas?
We're good.
Yeah, we good. Can't complain too much.
Coach Cam?
I'm doing pretty good, man. You know, I got bragging rights. You know, in the ASAP Real Talk room. You know, I gotta flex a little bit, but nah, man. But it was a great debate, you know, amongst us all, and you know, I'm looking forward to having a good show.
All right. I tell you what, before we get into that show, we got to pay the bills around here. So let's get it popping off with Suzanne's Paparazzi. Coach Cam, why don't you tell us a little bit about our first sponsor?
Yes, Suzanne Paparazzi Jewelry and Accessories, home of the $5 jewelry. 24/7 shopping available. Get on the website and get at Suzanne Paparazzi, www.paparazziaccessories.com, code 160920.
All right. Chris Brown, last time we were here, we crowned our Viewer of the Month. Let's talk about what you can do if you are the Viewer of the Month and how you can get there.
To become the Viewer of the Month, what I want you to do is, you know, you're in our shows. Make sure you comment. Make sure you like it. Make sure you like the page. Share the page. At the end of the month, we're going to tally it all up, and whoever does that the most will be crowned the Viewer of the Month, and that Viewer of the Month will get their very own ASAP Network T-shirt.
Now, I hear we brought down the price on those a little bit, so maybe you can even get your own ASAP T-shirt another way. Tell them about that. Yes.
If you want to get your own ASAP T-shirt, if you don't want to comment but you still like supporting us, just message us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Search our $14.99 plus shipping and handling. Like I said, you're going to get your very own ASAP T-shirt, ASAP.
All right, Freddie. We're here on Facebook Live. We're here on YouTube. Where else can you find our show if you don't catch us live?
Hey, catch us on Anchor. If you can't catch this episode, check us out on Anchor. I have all our previous episodes, and our future. It will continue to have all our future episodes as well.
All right, and bring us home. I know we got our friends up there in Oregon. Tell us a little bit about Misty Meadows.
It's an Oregon-made Misty Meadows product. It's Jam and More. Check them out at 48053 Highway 101 South in Brandon, Oregon. You can give them a call at 541-347-2575.
All right. Rent's been paid. We're not getting evicted this week, so let's get right into the topics. Let's start with the NFL per usual, the hot takes. You know, we're coming off of a little bit of a hot hour and a half of a debate right now. So I tell you what, why don't we keep the temperature up high and let's keep it going. Freddie, I'm going to start with you. What is your hot take for the NFL?
The hot take for the NFL this week, my Green Bay Packers are playing. Hold on, let me rephrase that. Because Chris Brown is hold on.
I'm done now.
I'm a Giants fan, people, but I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, okay? Let's correct this. Let's try it again.
No correcting. I'm killing you now. You just set yourself up.
Let's try it again. This Sunday, the Green Bay Packers is going to play against the Philadelphia Eagles. We know the Eagles got problems. We know their O-line's a problem. We know the coaching staff a problem. We know their defense is a problem. And we know they have a quarterback problem. But guess what Green Bay don't have? Green Bay don't have a running back problem. They don't have a wide receiver problem. They're not hurt. The O-line's not hurt. And guess what? They have the baddest man in town. And his name is, he's a bad man. And his name is Aaron Rodgers. He should be the MVP this year. And I expect them to handle their business and I don't expect it to be easy at all. It should be a blowout, no questions asked.
All right, now that the Green Bay Giants fan is done, let's head over to Chris for his hot take on the NFL season. Chris, let's hear it.
I mean, is that considered a hot take? Aren't they we're not even going to get into that. Please, trust me, I will say that for later. My hot take is that we're going to talk about hot takes. You know, Freddie, he always got the boring takes. He got the cold takes. Here's a hot take right here. Oakland Raiders. Oh, they're going to make the playoffs. We're going to predict that the Steelers keep that number 1 seed. So I got the Oakland Raiders going against the Kansas City Chiefs in the first round. And with that being said, who won the first time? Oakland. Oakland ended up losing the second time in a very close game. Well, in this third one, the Oakland Raiders are going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs the first round in the playoffs. That is my hot take. You talking about teams in the same division. So it's no real favorite. I mean, you saw the last game. It was a very close game. Chiefs ended the drive. Oh, I expect the Raiders to get better. I expect the Raiders the game plan better. And I expect them going in it with nothing to lose because they have nothing to lose. I mean, a lot of people didn't believe in them going to the season. So the fact that they made it to the playoffs and they're going against the Kansas City Chiefs, which in my opinion, they probably want to play them more than anybody since they already played them twice this year and they got some level of confidence. So yes, the Raiders will get in that 7th seed. Yes, the Raiders will play the Chiefs in the first round. And yes, I'm predicting the Raiders will beat the Chiefs. That is my NFL hot take.
All right. Talk about a hot take. This is a team that just lost 43-6 last week. Yeah,
Yes,
no,
they
that's
did.
definitely a hot take. But I tell you what, they have played the Chiefs close both times. So that's definitely for sure. Coach Cam, we'll move over to you. We need a hot take for you on the NFL.
Hot take. I was gonna actually say something regarding to that Green Bay Packers game and Philadelphia Eagles game. I was gonna actually say that somehow, some way, I'm gonna give a hot take that the Philadelphia Eagles are gonna beat the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. Yeah, I think they have the tools to do it, and here's how. Like I say, I always worry about the trenches of Green Bay. I always worry about them up front. Can they hold up a whole game? Now I expect those the front four of the Eagles in the defensive line to get after some a little bit. The Eagles are not they're not dead, man. They're right there still in the thick of division things. As everybody else is in the division, but they have the formula to do it. I think Darius Slay, he's gonna have another a tough matchup this week with Devontae Adams, but he's looking to rebound, redeem himself, from last week. DK Metcalf is a bigger target, so it was kind of tough for Slay to keep up. But I think you'll see Slay really kind of not necessarily shut down Devontae Adams, but neutralize him, and that's what you got to do in order to kind of slow down the Green Bay Packers a little bit. You can't stop him, but he just can't have 10 catches, 100 plus yards, and a couple touchdowns. He can't have that, which I think Darius Slay can hold him to. And it's time for Carson Wentz to show up and be that guy. It's time for him to show up, be that guy, and kind of elevate those around him, which I know, I believe he can do. And I think this will be a game where he gets it done.
All right. Tell you what, going on to my hot take, a lot of teams, or I should say a lot of fans have been really high on this team so far this season. I'm going to go out to the AFC East, and I'm going to talk about the Miami Dolphins for a little bit. These Miami Dolphins, who are comfortably sitting at a 6 seed, will not make the playoffs. Let me tell you why. This team has one of the hardest schedules remaining out of any other team. They take on the Cincinnati Bengals this week, but after the Bengals, they face the Chiefs, the Bills, the Patriots, and the Raiders. These are all teams that could be fighting minus the Patriots. But this is a Patriots team that plays Miami tough all the time. I mean, no matter what, it doesn't matter who's out there. Bill Belichick has been going against the Miami Dolphins since forever ago, since before Chris Brown was born. I mean, before we got to that point. I mean, you want to talk about the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Bills. I mean, these are teams all fighting for the divisional spots as well. They need to be on the top of their game. They're fighting for a playoff push. And I think out of those remaining 4 games, you could see 3 L's out of those 4, and you could find themselves just missing out on that 7th place spot, falling short to somebody like the Oakland Raiders or the Vegas Raiders. Right now Vegas is on the outside looking in, but right now they're only 1 game behind as well. They've got a somewhat easy schedule going on to the rest. I thought it was going to be easy with the Falcons, but that Falcons offense can score at will. So But I trust the Raiders a little bit more than I trust the Dolphins right now, especially when they have quarterback issues. They don't know who they are going to run with. Is it going to be Fitzpatrick? Is it going to be Tua? Who's it going to be? We may know this week, but we don't know the next week. There's so many question marks regarding this Miami Dolphins team. And other than their defense, they don't really have much to show. And so I'm going to take Miami Dolphins falling short of the playoffs this season. But look out for them next season. Look out for them next season. Get a couple years under their belt. Let that team come together, and we'll see exactly where they're going to be after that. But let's talk about a team currently that is basically stamped its ticket into the postseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just last night, I want to say that we saw the Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Baltimore Ravens, a very important divisional game in which we saw a final end up in 19-14 in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to get your guys' opinion on that game because I have a lot of thoughts about that game. I'm going to start with you, Coach Cam. What was your impressions from this Baltimore-Pittsburgh game?
My impressions of it, it's a normal AFC matchup. You know what I mean? A normal AFC, knockdown, drag out football game. No matter, who's playing for who, no matter who's healthy, who's hurt, it's gonna be this type of ball game. It's gonna be a one-score ball game. It's gonna be, a game that comes down to the last minute. It's gonna come down to who can make a play on third down, and to end the game. Who's going to make that last second drive. That's what type of games that these are. So it doesn't shock me about it. But Pittsburgh just, it just seems like they do just do enough to get by, and that bothers me. That bothers me moving forward because just enough to get by is not going to beat the Kansas Cities. It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be Buffalo, who they got coming up in a few weeks. And teams like that, I just don't think. I don't think that can sustain. So for me, the Baltimore Pittsburgh game is always as good as advertised. No matter who's playing, no matter who's healthy, no matter who's hurt, it's going to be a close game. But Pittsburgh, eventually, just doing enough to get by is going to catch up.
Chris, I'll move to you. What were your thoughts watching this game on Wednesday afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, without Lamar Jackson, we didn't really give this team a chance. But so I'm not really going to harp on the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm very, very unimpressed of this victory. I mean, they've yet to have a victory against a good team that was impressive. Big Ben threw for 51 times. He only has one touchdown. You only run the ball 20 times, you get 68 yards. This offense isn't impressive to me, And then you look at the defensive side, y'all should have shut down Baltimore. Instead, Baltimore was still allowed somehow to get touchdowns, somehow still to score points, somehow to still stay in the game. I'm very unimpressed with this team. This team is 11-0. Everybody loves this team. I just don't understand why. They're not a convincing team at all. They're probably, the only 11-0 team, the only undefeated team that nobody has them at their favorite. They don't do anything wow. 1 week, maybe it's the defense, but then the offense is playing bad. 1 week, the offense is good and the defense is bad. They're never playing both great collectively against a good team. I've yet to see that, and I didn't see it this weekend. I didn't see it Wednesday. That's something I was looking to make sure I saw. Okay, will Pittsburgh be able to put on a dominant performance? I understand it's a division matchup, but one team is heavily favored against the other with all these COVID-related issues. It should have been a blowout. It should have been a domination. And the Pittsburgh Steelers almost lost that game. So for me, I don't believe this team at all. They can be 11-0, but as soon as they get in the playoffs, they go against the Titans. I see them losing. Even if the Dolphins make it, I see them losing. They go against the Colts, any wild card team like that. I see them losing too. And they're definitely not going to be able to beat Kansas City. Not even a chance. So for me, watching this game, Pittsburgh was supposed to win, but they just barely won, and I'm very unimpressed.
Freddie, I'll move to you. Are you joining the collective here? Not very impressed by the Pittsburgh Steelers, or what were your thoughts on the game?
I disagree with what Chris said. It should have been a blowout because we do have to remember this. This is like Coach Kim said, a rivalry game in this division. Don't matter who's their quarterback, don't matter who's the running back. They're always competitive. They're always going to be close. They play tough because they play up to the moment to play their rival. But I will say this. Mike Tomlin was pissed after the game, and he had the right to be pissed because you have to get up. You know that Lamar Jackson not playing. You know Mark Ingram's not playing. You know that wide receiver's not playing. So you need to go in and handle your business. And then, this defense have took hits this year. They already lost Capri, the linebacker early in the season. They lost Bush to a torn ACL. So how many injuries can this defense stand before they start to crumble? That's the question that's going to start coming up. But it's not really their defense that I have a problem with. It's just the offense. Chris said, Big Ben threw the ball 51 times, no one touchdown. Really, the Steelers might be looking for a future quarterback at the end of this year because Big Ben, he had a heck of a career, but sometimes it's okay to hang it up. Sometimes Father Time do come up. Sometimes age do come up, and and then you have Juju, but what other and you have the other receiver, but what other elite route running wide receiver do you have? They need to improve on the offensive end where they can take on the Bills, where they can take on the Titans, where they can take on the Chiefs. Because we know defensively they will keep them in the game, but we don't know what we're going to get on offense. We know what we get on that defense, but we don't know what we're going to get on that offense each week in and week out.
Freddie, go ahead, Coach Ken.
And just to be fair to the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I hate them. I hate them probably more than any other football team. In the National Football League. However, you have to look at it and the way they winning ugly. But it kind of reminds me when they played the Seahawks or when they won the Super Bowl, where it wasn't pretty. They never did anything pretty. They had Jerome Bell, Willie Parker, Hines Ward was towards the kind of tail end a little bit, but then they had a great defense as well. But it was kind of reminds you of kind of like that, that type of thing. Not a wow offense, it's not going to be, have a huge explosive big plays. But however, they're going to keep things in front of you on defense, and find a way to score, do just enough to win. And it seems like they did that.
What's up, Chris?
I was just thinking, when Coach Cam, I understand they win ugly and playoffs is ugly, so that may be able to tend in their favor. But you was talking about that running game they had back then. They have no running game now. I'm sorry.
You're right.
They have zero running game now. And then can we really expect Ben Roethlisberger to outdo Patrick Mahomes? I don't think anybody does. And then, go back on Freddie. Freddie, you saying it wasn't supposed to be a blowout because it's a divisional game. It's the Ravens and the Steelers. I completely understand it. But when I look at who the Ravens were missing on offense, you take away that one big yards after catch play that Marquise Brown had for 70 yards, they had less than 40 total passing yards. It was supposed to be a complete domination. They had no quarterback, giving us in their top two running backs. It was supposed to be a complete domination. I understand it's a division game. It's going to be, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a very good game. But throw that division stuff out the window. You're trying to win a championship. When a team is wounded like that, you're supposed to dominate them. And I'm yet to see a dominant. That's why, I'm a respect their 11-0. But I've yet to see a dominant performance when they had the opportunities to. They only dominate against bad teams. When they have good teams, they just barely win, and that's just not convincing for me.
Can we all agree that RG3's done too? I just don't want to keep.
Oh my God, that pick six he threw was
disgusting.
Awful. I was like, that was a pass out of through.
he's really just a running quick. Like he can still run. But like passing the ball, I would thought he got better as time went on, and it just was the complete opposite. And I feel bad because I really wanted this game to propel him to maybe get a spot somewhere else, maybe get a trial somewhere else. And I was really pushing for Robert Griffin III to have a great game because his rookie year dominated. The injuries really messed him up. So I'm like, all right, that system is bad, and he played bad. It wasn't a good fit, man. It was really bad.
All of you really made good points in this stuff that I wanted to talk about because like I said, I had a lot of thoughts going into this game. And Chris, I know you specifically mentioned the running game, and you want to talk about not having a running game anymore. Not having James Conner is going to be, James Conner may be underperforming this season. He may not be doing what he did whenever he first came out. But at the end of the day, he's still averaging 4.5 a carry, which is serviceable for a running back. You can't deny that 4.5 isn't something that could be good. And minus a decent run. I like that. Other than a decent run from Snell, I want to say early on in the game, I want to say he came out averaging just above 3 yards a carry. And that's not going to do you any good. I know Coach Cam and I know Chris had both mentioned whenever we get into the later parts in the season and on into the postseason, it's going to get into those dirty games whenever it's snowing. It's going to get gross outside, and it's really going to come down to the run game. And yes, I know it's a COVID-related thing, so I know James Conner should be back relatively soon, but it's just concerning whenever you're looking at it from the Pittsburgh standpoint, because sometimes whenever, it's hard to have your offense stand out whenever it comes to a passing game when you have no run game to kind of counteract it. And then on the defensive side of the front, the fact that it was 12, they did what they were supposed to do. That 70-yard touchdown, I'll exclude it just because of that, because it's just a freak play. It was just a missed tackle, and the wide receiver was just quick enough to get away. But what's concerning to me is that Freddie had mentioned that they lost Devin Bush. In this game, they lost Bud Dupree. Their linebacking core is getting diminished, and it's one of those to where they're not just small injuries. We lost Devin Bush to the season, I want to say, to an ACL or an Achilles. We just had an ACL tear for Bud Dupree in this last game. So those are both players we're not going to see in the postseason now. And not only are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to have some tough matchups whenever it comes down to the postseason, but they got some tough games coming up. I know they play Buffalo. I know they play Indianapolis. They're going to play a Cleveland Browns team on week 17 whenever it comes down to crunch time. The Pittsburgh Steelers got a lot of question marks, and they need to figure it out quick because, 11-0, like Chris said, I can't take that away from them. They're doing it. But you want to talk about times when they should be beaten up on a team. There's no reason the Garrett Gilbert-led Cowboys were anywhere close to them in that game. If you're an 11-0 team, there's no reason you guys play that close. If you're an 11-0 team, there's no reason you play that close to an RG3 and Gus Edwards-led Ravens team.
TikTok legend.
No, there's no reason why either one of those games, and those are just two examples of the games. There's no reason those should be anywhere close. You should be playing teams like you played Jacksonville whenever you beat them 27-3. You should be blowing teams out like that. But unfortunate for Pittsburgh, they're still taking the dub. So, it is what it is. But honestly, right now, based off of that, I like Joey Wood's comment right there, the way that they're looking. It's coming down to a lot of question marks out there in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. But let's go to the other team on the other side of the front. Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens. Let's talk about, they're struggling. They're obviously struggling. A lot of COVID protocols, a lot of stuff like that, and a lot of key players, too. We've seen Ronnie Staley. We've seen J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram, Lamar Jackson, all missing time. What does it mean to the NFL if the Ravens don't make the postseason? I'm going to go with you, Chris Brown. What happens if the Ravens don't make the playoffs? Like, what does this mean for the future of this team? What does this mean for right now? Let's get your takes on that.
Man, I'm going to try not to take up so much time because this is a topic that can literally take up the entire show. But one thing we saw, is that the league wanted Lamar Jackson to play. Look what happened in Denver. All their quarterbacks wasn't there, and they made them play. They tried to extend just to get Lamar in there. So the league's going to be hurt that the last year MVPs. What happened, Freddie? The league not going to be hurt?
Huh?
Nothing.
The
The league's going to be hurt that the last year's MVP didn't make the playoffs. The league's going to be hurt that one of the favorites, to win a championship this year didn't even make the playoffs. And forget about the league. This team is going to be hurt. You look at their defense, there's no reason why they shouldn't be the most dominant defense. Now, they're playing good. They need to be playing way, way better. They have everything. They addressed a lot of issues that they had last year by getting Calais Campbell, traded for a defensive end this year. It's not working out how I thought it was going to work out. You look at the offense, everybody says they have tape on Lamar, but they really have tape on the offense. That offense didn't adjust this entire year. They wanted to keep running, try to get Dez, but they really should have went after Antonio Brown, a real wide receiver that could be a real true playmaker. So if they don't make the playoffs, I expect players to be traded. I do. I expect coaches to be fired. I do. It's no reason that they're going to go into the year next year with the same roster, the same coaching staff that they have this year, because these problems are glaring. They're glaring. These issues that could be fixed easily, but they didn't fix them this year. Be honest. Everybody here, nobody said the Ravens weren't going to make the playoffs going into the year. And if you did, you're lying. Because I know a lot of people had them going nowhere less than 12-4. And now look at them right now, outside of the playoffs. Nobody expected this, but looking at it right now, I'm not too surprised on the offensive side because I said they're going to have film on this team, not just Lamar. When your offensive game plan, 2 out of 3 of it is based on running. When it's time to pass, what's going to happen? If a team can stop the run and you got a quarterback that, not only he's not the most experienced quarterback in throwing because he can make some throws. We're not going to act like dude can't throw her. We're not going to act like he's Tim Tebow. He's not that. But when you have a quarterback that doesn't get a chance to throw in game, to use his arm, then it's going to stunt his growth. So next year, I think they need to implement some more passing offense. They need to get some more wide receivers because this is an embarrassment of the season. I got family that's Baltimore Ravens fans, and if somehow my Eagles make the playoffs and they don't, I'm trash talking every day, all day. I don't care if my Eagles get smacked in the first round. You had all that talent to make the playoffs. You're sorry.
Freddie, I'll move to you. Let's get your opinions on what it means to the NFL and what it means to Baltimore if they can't manage to make the playoffs this year.
First of all, the NFL was not trying to wait for Lamar Jackson to come back. But at the beginning of the season, they made point after point that if, like the Denver game, reason why it was not postponed, they was punished because they said they are not going to postpone a team if one specific position was tied up with COVID. So that was not the case with Baltimore. That's why they kept pushing it back instead of making them play. So first of all, I mean, Lamar Jackson's a good quarterback, but he's not that special. Okay, first of all, number two, let's just face it. I don't think there'll be a lot of trades because I believe the coaching is the problem. The offensive coordinator. I mean, all of the coaches are the problem because they're the one calling the plays. But they're not implementing pass plays for Lamar. Guess what? They can't choose to pass the ball. And guess what? Yes, they need some wide receiver. They need some receivers that can run routes, cut hard, where instead of just going down, being speedsters and going down the field, where they can cut across the field to make it easy for Lamar. And then we can judge Lamar to say, hey, this dude can pass the ball. This dude can throw the ball. And if he can't get it done then, hey, the dude can't throw the football. He's a running quarterback. But we cannot judge him until he get weapons on the offensive end, he get a wide receiver, and have a coach that actually put the ball in his hand and say, hey, make some plays. Hey, throw the ball 20 yards down the field. Throw it down 10, 15 yards down the field. Until then, we cannot judge him to say that he cannot pass the football.
Coach Cam, let's get your opinions on what it means if Baltimore is not in the playoffs.
The thing is with the Baltimore Ravens is they're a patient organization. They don't panic. And what I mean by that, if they don't make the playoffs this season, you will see some moves being made. You will see a couple trades here and there, but it won't be a complete blow up. You know what I mean? It won't be like that because, they have a good football team. This is a weird year, man. 2020 has been a weird year for all sports, especially, obviously with COVID situation going on and everything like that. But I don't think they blow it up because, like I said, I know this organization just by being an AFC North fan, being a Bengals fan. I know kind of how they operate a little bit. They don't panic. They don't make. They do make aggressive moves where they feel like they can get better, but they don't go and just completely just blow it up. They never really. They never really do that. Even if you think about the years where Flacco was going downhill, they still eased Lamar Jackson into it. They didn't panic or anything like that. They eased Lamar Jackson into it still. So that's how they operate. But it will definitely be weird if the Ravens don't make the playoffs. This is you talking about MVP. That's not going to be in a former MVP or last year's MVP. That's not going to be in the postseason this year. One of the exciting players in the NFL not going to be there. That's unfortunate. For the NFL really, and it's kind of sad to see because you want to see a dynamic athlete like Lamar Jackson in the postseason. But you know what? It's something about the Ravens. They really have to open up the playbook and they really have to trust Lamar Jackson. I don't know if they trust him. That's the sad part. I don't know if they really trust him all the way. And it shows by the play call, and it shows by the formations, and it shows by how their lack of aggression on offense. So we will see, but I don't see like big changes, but I'll see little tweaks here and there to, make sure that their roster is up to par for the following year.
This is really a weird situation just because of the fact that we know who Baltimore's defense is. We know that they're absolutely phenomenal. And, we hear about the sophomore slump and everything like this. But, I mean, the man was an MVP. I mean, the man literally ran the league, took the league by storm whenever he first came out. And all of a sudden, everything's kind of the brakes are being pumped. And, yeah, it's very unfortunate that they had a game to which they can't play with basically any of their skill position players, the bread and butter of their team. But even from besides that, this team had a lot of glaring problems beforehand. And, this team was definitely completely underperforming even before that. And you want to talk about a team that's bread and butter is made off of running the ball. And I mean, you want to talk about they have two very talented running backs. They have a quarterback who is very talented in the run game. Oh, three. Yeah. I mean, the list goes on. They have plenty of options to run the ball. And yet there's still a couple of teams ahead of them, which is kind of shocking. Like at a team that is so honed in on the run game, even your quarterback's in on it. There's still a couple of teams that are ahead of you whenever it comes to yards per average or yards per game or attempts. Even it's one of those weird situations, and I don't know exactly what all the problem is right here in Baltimore because it's a lot of the same players. If anything, whenever you look at some of the defensive personnel they brought in, they only got better. At least whenever you're looking at it on paper, it's a weird situation for Baltimore. But this is gonna suck for the NFL because it almost takes away a little bit because you wouldn't expect your MVP to be short in the postseason the next year. You don't want to see anything like that kind of significantly drop off or anything such as that, because then a lot of people are going to bring Lamar into question. And we've even talked about it, Lamar on the network, and we talked about is he legit? Where is he? Where does he stand? But at the end of the day, the guy's still a good quarterback. I mean, there's a lot of players that I would take Lamar over before. I mean, I'll take him right now. I mean, obviously, we crapped on my quarterback a little bit a couple hours ago, but but nonetheless, I mean, it's a weird situation, and this would not be good for the NFL. This is like a very similar situation, not to the same extent, but if somebody like the Yankees didn't make the postseason in the MLB. This is one of the marquee teams. This is one of the teams that everybody looks at, that has the stars, that has all the name power to get in there, the people who are box office, such as Lamar Jackson. You can't tell me he's not going to sell well, if there were fans, you can't tell me he's not going to sell tickets, he's not going to sell jerseys, he's not going to do all this. And so it's going to be awkward to have an NFL postseason without him. But Chris, I know you said you had something else to add to this.
Yeah. When I said players are gonna be traded, I'm not talking about blow it up. I'm talking about they're gonna make some moves to get better. Like I said, I really think they need to get some wide receivers. They got a lot of great guys on the defense. I'm not saying trade them. You got draft picks. If you do that, try to trade them. But man, the value they can get, they really have three number one cornerbacks. I think a lot of people forget this defense. It should be, and you can argue it kind of is. They're one of, and they should be really the best defense in the game, and it really should not be close. It shouldn't be close at all. And I love the draft pick with Patrick Queen, but they need to get better on the offensive side. Yes, defense wins championships, but you need the offense to get into the playoffs. Why are they not in the playoffs? Because the offense is so bad. And Freddie, you said something, and I kind of agree with you. The NBA, the NFL is probably not going to, maybe try to reschedule a game just because of one player. But it'd be hard for me to believe if this was a game where it's Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson, the league wouldn't try to find something to push the game back. Not saying they would, but from a box office, from a money standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised if they would try to do that. And that's something I was just trying to throw out there. I'm not saying they are. I know they're trying to be safe, but just thinking of from an owner standpoint, thinking of, okay, the best product standpoint, if I can reschedule a game between the two young quarterbacks, I'm going to try to find a way to do it. And that's all I was saying. Not saying that the NFL is doing that, but that's something as the owner of a league I would definitely consider doing.
Now, Freddie, before you talk, you're on mute.
Yeah, because he likes to forget that.
Yeah, there we go. All
right. I know you said that, Chris. I got a question for all of y'all, really, where one of y'all. I've been looking, but I can't find the answer. So let's say we're in the playoffs, okay? And you have Patrick Mahomes, use him. Let's say he catch COVID.
Well, they shutting down the playoffs. The playoffs shutting down the playoffs if Patrick Mahomes get COVID. Are you kidding me? The real face of the league, they're shutting down the playoffs. Come on now.
I'm just saying, you kind of have to, that's kind of a lot of things.
You don't. You really don't. You can say, "Oh well, we're in the playoffs."
They out of luck.
They really are. They should be out of luck. And Coach Cam, I'm with you. I'm not even going to get into what I want to get into right now. But y'all, never mind. Listen, the point being is that yes, they should be out of luck by far. You got COVID, you got to deal with the consequences. But the fact that he said Patrick Mahomes, we got to admit, let's understand who Patrick Mahomes is to the NFL. let's understand he really is the face of the league. If somehow, some way, and they don't even need a justification. They want to say, okay, things is pushed back for a week. For Patrick Mahomes, for the Kansas City Chiefs, they could do it. Now, should they do it? It's not fair.
That
But
would
as
look terrible.
That would look, but that's all I'm going to say. I can't say too much.
I will say if it was, let's say that in a hypothetical situation, like you were saying, Freddie, if we get into the postseason and we're in the playoffs, and let's say that my hot take's false, the Miami Dolphins make it, and they're being ran by Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Fitzpatrick goes down, they're still playing that game. You best believe they're still playing that game. And even if Tua was hurt, they still playing that game. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick's not that monumental guy. Sure, he's fun to watch. Fitzmagic, you know, everybody loves it. He's just a guy you can't hate. But it's one of those to where, like, if Patrick Mahomes goes down, the NFL goes down. And it's one of those to where, like, even whenever we saw Lamar Jackson get COVID, we still played a game. If we see Patrick Mahomes go down, the league might shut down. I mean, it might be all breaks on the NFL. But I want to get into a comment really quick. I just want to get everybody's comment on this because this is all pertaining to it. We saw this game get pushed back. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones came out and said that the Broncos situation playing with Kendall Hinton.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
He said that the Broncos situation playing with Kendall Hinton was not as bad or just about as equal to when they had to play with Ben DiNucci. And now let's talk about this for a minute because Kendall Hinton is on a practice squad as a wide receiver who hasn't played quarterback in multiple years.
Okay.
Ben DiNucci just came off of a championship run in Division I 2A football with James Madison. I mean, this guy is sure, he's a 7th round draft pick as a quarterback, but this is a man who takes reps. This is a quarterback.
This is a quarterback. Like,
that's my point more than anything. I want to say that I was on I was recording with my other friends and I was talking about I just ended the episode. They said any final thoughts and I said forget Jerry Jones. I don't want to hear about him ever again. And then they asked me to clarify, and I mean it's just the most ridiculous thing I've heard all season.
I mean, I'm just gonna how are you going to compare a wide receiver guy that's on a practice squad that hasn't played quarterback in years to a guy that had a great college career? Like, I understand, no, he didn't go to the top Division I program, but for everybody out there, especially guys my age, Division I is Division I. College football is college football. It doesn't matter Division I, Division II, Division III, JUCO. Doesn't matter what conference you are in. You're playing college football at the next level. I think people forget there's a difference between college and NFL, but there's a difference between college and high school. You have to be very, very good to play how he did. And he played very, very good in college. So for that, for one, he just threw his whole quarterback under the bus at Ben DiNucci. He really just disrespected everything out of him. As an owner, as a GM, whatever he wants to be to the Dallas Cowboys organization, dude needs to shut up. Because how you going to disrespect your player like that? Ben DiNucci, he didn't play as bad as this dude did, and it's no fault to him. You're a wide receiver. You got thrown into a terrible situation. You going to disrespect Ben DiNucci like that? I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes, but how you going to compare one to the other one? One's a quarterback. One takes reps as a quarterback, was drafted as a quarterback, and played as a quarterback. And yet you clown him? Come on, Jerry Jones. You're the clown.
Freddie, before you blow the roof off, I'm going to go to Cam first because I know where you're going to take this. This is going to go on for a while, so let's get Coach Cam out of the way.
And y'all, like I said, I agree. I agree with mostly with what you guys are saying. But one thing I just want to throw out there for viewers or wherever watching, or when you do watch, people that say they can go out there and complete an NFL pass, getting up off the couch, stop it.
Stop it.
Kendall Hinton was a prime example of a person that used to play quarterback in high school, hasn't read any defenses in years, and he couldn't complete a pass. He couldn't complete a pass in the first half, and was 2 for 7? 1 for
9 for 19 yards.
1 for 9 for 19. Exactly. So when people say, "Oh man, I could have made that throw," no, you couldn't have. You couldn't have made that throw with that pressure on you. Not seeing, actually looking at NFL defenses, them flying at you. That just shows. Also, it shows that the quarterback position is the hardest to play in sports.
And not only is the hardest position to play, 99.9% of y'all don't have the arm talent.
Mm-mm.
You think you can throw far, you really only throwing 20 yards.
Right.
And you throwing a duck. So for everybody saying, oh, you can put now there's some positions in NFL, I say, okay, I can go do that. But a quarterback, I'm never going to say I can play quarterback. I would be Mr. Hand the ball off.
Freddie.
And Mr. QB power.
I don't know why we debating this. Are y'all really taking Jerry Jones serious? You talking about a owner who calls himself, the hell his players call him the GM, the owner, and the coach. You talking about an owner who's like what Coach Cam say, have franchises, what can go wrong, will go wrong. And that should tell you why. You should tell you why, because Jerry Jones thinking right there. I mean, come on, Jerry Jones. You talking about a dude who had college experience versus a dude. He's just not just a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver off the practice squad. I mean, stop it, Jerry Jones. You just need to stop it. Yeah, it's not even worth going into a whole spill over you. Yeah.
No, to be completely honest, I feel worse about Ben DiNucci in this situation. I mean, whenever it comes down to it, I mean, you didn't need to come out and disrespect him like that, but you also didn't need to, talk about somebody else's player, but you also didn't need to come out and throw your own player under the bus. I mean, this is a guy on a roster, a guy that, hey, you're the GM, you're the owner. You drafted this guy.
Thank you.
You made the decision to pick Ben DiNucci. Okay. And you saw something in him that a lot of other teams didn't, especially since you picked him in the 7th round. Okay. You wanted to give this guy a chance. And we finally got his chance. He got his chance to step up in an NFL game. And to be honest, he was playing against a Steeler team. And it was close. I mean, like we mentioned, this was a game that was Garrett Gilbert. But the game before,
he played against my Eagles, and as an Eagles fan, he did not play as bad as he should have played.
Exactly. Whenever it comes down to it, I mean, and I can tell you what, I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but I can guarantee you he had more than one completion and more than 19 yards. I can promise you that. And that should let you know that this is nowhere near even comparable. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who just had to step in last minute, no expectations of starting. And then, he thought he was going to sit a whole year on the pine. You got Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton ahead of you. You have no idea that your number is getting called. And then all of a sudden your number does get called and you come out there and, I mean, you don't do half bad. You didn't do – yeah. He came out and he did his thing. He did what he could. But, it's nowhere even comparable to what Kendall Hinton had to go through.
Yeah, like the dude on the wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. He was on the practice squad, but he's also a full-time assistant. So, like Coach Cam said, you talking about get off your couch. Like this dude, you gave him a week to prepare, probably less than a week to prepare to go out there and play actually a football game. It's Jerry Jones.
Just to top on that, this dude is a real athlete. Half the people out there talking about they can't even do a push-up. You talking about you can play quarterback? You can't play quarterback, man. Don't come on, y'all be a lot of people be disrespecting these pro athletes with no athletic bone in their body.
That's facts. But let's move on. Let's get past week 12. Let's move on to week 13. Let's talk about what game we are looking forward to here in week 13. Yes. Oh man, Chris is already warmed up. We might as well, and Coach Cam looks like he's about to throw up. But I tell you what, let's go to Chris first. You seem hyped up about this. Let's hear what game you're hyped up for.
Now I'm only hyped up because my two friends over there talked about this game, and I wasn't even going to bring this game up. But the fact that Freddie used this game as a hot take when his team is the obvious favorite is delusional to me.
Not my thing.
You came over here and said my Green Bay Packers. So
I didn't really
no, we're not going to do that. I say what I mean. You guys, as man, you say what you mean. So you guys stand on that stuff, Mr. Delusional Take. But here's the thing right here. This to me, why I'm saying I'm looking forward to this game is a number of reasons. One, to hear Freddie talk about, if they win, as they should win, my Green Bay Packers. Oh, my Green Bay Packers this. Oh, he's a bad man. I thought you were a Giants fan. How are you going to root for two different teams? That I want to hear that, right? Then just on my Eagles team, right? I want to see if the play calling is ever going to change. On a serious note, Miles Sanders is really averaging the second most in yards per carry. And he missed so many games, and he's up there in yards. He's really had a great season. I know catching the ball, dude has so many drops, is out of this world. But running the ball, he's really turning into a real, true running back. and we've yet to establish the run. And I feel like, listen, if your offense is struggling, the offensive line is struggling. We have like 55 different offensive line units that we played this year. Establish the run. As somebody that played offensive line, if you want to help the pass game, if you want to help the offensive line feel better, get more confident, start running the ball. As offensive lineman, you love running the ball. That's what you want to do. So you can destroy that defensive lineman in front of you. You want to get this offensive line unit confident, start running the ball. Miles Sanders, one of the best running backs in the game. Use him correctly. Don't just go out and try to outduel Aaron Rodgers. That's not how we won last year and Lambeau, just to throw that out there. You know, I'm just excited for this game. Just one, it's my Eagles. Two, Freddie's going to talk about how this is his team. He's going to say, no, I'm a New York Giants fan. He doesn't know he wants to root for. He came on live and said, my Packers. You can't say nothing else, Freddie. Nothing else.
Will, I want to go next, please.
All right, Freddie, you got it. Go for it, man.
Chris, you know I've been busy all day. You know my mind was going crazy. You know my mind was
no, too many excuses. I'm not caring for him.
So that's not people of America. I'm a Giants fan. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. I'm not a Green Bay Packers fan. Let's correct that. But the biggest game and this weekend is going to be the Green Bay and the Eagles game. Why? It's because we're gonna put them little birdies to sleep, little baby. We're going to send them back to the basement. My Giants are going to continue to be number one because I expect my Giants to lose this weekend to the Seattle Seahawks. So let's just face it, man. You know, Chris want to sit up here and talk about, my offensive line, my play calling. You can't teach new dogs tricks. You haven't been running the ball all year. You're not all of a sudden about to run the ball deep down in the trenches all year. So I'm a Giants.
See, I'm telling y'all.
Yeah.
Freddie, you're done. Coach,
you can't even get it out.
You're done.
You can't teach old dogs new tricks. So like the Eagles, they gonna sit up here and do these new tricks all of a sudden. They have a quarterback problem. They don't know who's their franchise quarterback is because Carson Wentz is underthrowing these passes week in and week out. He can stand in the pocket by himself and underthrow a wide open dude. Like that should tell you something. That's not the offensive line. That's not the receiver. That's the quarterback. Give him some credit that he is not playing good. But I don't have to worry about that on the other end. On the other side, there's going to be a quarterback who's the MVP this year, by the way. The MVP this year, and I'll debate that with anybody.
Where's that against the Buccaneers? Where's this MVP against the Buccaneers? Mr. MVP. He's a bad man. He was not a bad man. He was really a bad man against the Buccaneers.
You act like quarterbacks have a bad game. Have you seen Tom Brady? He had bad games.
Listen, the way who don't? Me and Cam criticize him. Ian will criticize him every week. So don't say nobody.
I'm talking about the national media. Do not criticize Tom Brady like they do.
I don't listen to the national media no more because they just do it for views. Listen, I'm not going
to get your sports news from ASAP by now.
Yeah, by now, what are you doing? And I'm not going to debate anything about the Eagles because I don't want to beat on a dead horse and say everything I say every week.
Talking. Y'all interrupt my take.
Because you said you're a Packers fan, but you a Giant. Like after that, you shouldn't be able to talk.
You know, I'm talking about the Packers. So we're talking about the MVP of the league this year, and Aaron Rodgers, and it's not close. People want to say it's Patrick Mahomes. Look at the numbers, people. Aaron Rodgers leading the touchdowns. He has 2 interceptions. He's down 0.2 on QBR, but he's leading the league in 7 other stats and have just a little bit less yards with a lot less talent on his team than Patrick Mahomes have. But I expected Green Bay to beat Philadelphia by 30 to 20. 30 to 20 it's not going to be close. Aaron Rodgers is going to put about 400 yards on you in 3 or 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. We're going to get that W.
He has 4 interceptions this year, not 2. My fault. Go ahead, Coach Cam.
Well, 4. I'm sorry. He had 33 touchdowns. How about that?
Get into it, man. Y'all was really into it. I was almost spectating there for a minute. I got lost in the sauce.
I'm not getting into it.
The game I'm looking forward to is my Bengals and I'm just kidding, man. I'm looking forward to the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans. I said that the Cleveland Browns can win a playoff game. Now it's time for them to show me that they can win a playoff game and be the caliber team of like the Tennessee Titans. This is a Tennessee Titans that's really riding high right now, and they're looking like that team that left off in the playoffs where Derrick Henry's really starting to get rolling. They're utilizing that play action, and Tannehill is hitting AJ Brown down the field, and the defense is making enough stops. It seems like they got stopped playing that dead weight. Got rid of dead weight as far as like Beasley, Jonathan Joseph, and Clowney's kind of playing less snaps there. And they're starting to, get that thing rolling a little bit better on defense. And where I said their offense is good enough to where they just need a handful of stops. And like I said, the playoffs, it'll be shortened. Other team going to get shortened possessions with Tennessee. But I'm really looking forward to Cleveland to see how they match up. Baker Mayfield has got to show that he can make some throws because it's about time for Baker Mayfield. Now, you look at his stats, they're really, really pedestrian. And if you really think about it, he's kind of like a Tyrod Taylor, really, if you really think about it. If he's Tyrod Taylor in a nutshell, and if you take away his stardom and his number one pick and all this kind of stuff, you'll be talking about a journeyman quarterback here. So it's time. This is down the stretch here. These last 5 games is very important for Baker Mayfield, and he needs to close this season out strong. And this starts this week. It starts this week with the Tennessee Titans.
Man, we may need some Chris. I know you do the 1 through 3 rankings. We may need them for quarterback play for one of these episodes coming up.
Coming Monday.
There you go.
Spoken into existence.
There you go. But I'll be honest. I'm going to home. I'm going to be just like the 2 men above me. Freddie went for his Green Bay Packers, and Chris Brown went for his Eagles. So, Freddie, don't sit there and do that. You said I'm not a Packers fan.
Twice.
I'm a Packers fan.
Said it twice, and you're on mute because you don't want. You're telling the truth, and you don't want to tell no more lies.
I'm not a Packers fan. I'm a Giants fan.
They don't even believe you anymore.
All right, but going on to that's a really sad image right there. Going on into the game I'm excited for is the Bears and the Lions game. Really, whenever it comes down to it, because Matt Nagy just called out the locker room, and we just played very, very pitiful against the Green Bay Packers. We looked abysmal. I mean, whenever it comes down to it, we looked bad. There was no point of the offense or the defense that really looked good, and this is a Super Bowl caliber defense, and we were not playing well. Whenever you call out a locker room, 2 things are going to happen. Things are going to go really well, or things are going to go really bad. And this is against the Lions team that the Bears have already beat, but they only beat them by a matter of a drop ball at the hands of DeAndre Swift. So it's going to come down. It's going to tell a lot about the Bears. And the one thing that really gets me excited about is Mitch Trubisky's success against the Lions in his career. In 6 games against the Lions, the man has a 106 passer rating and is 6-0. You want to talk about a guy that is pure dominant against a team. We talk about Mr. Trubisky. We talk about how he's not the answer. He's always going to be compared to Pat Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Check the final debate. Go back and go check out Chris's argument about that. But this is going to be a turning point for the Bears. This is going to be really to define what kind of team they're going to be. Are they going to fire themselves up? Are they going to keep riding the high, or are they going to keep riding the low streak? And so it's really going to determine whether or not the Bears are really going to be able to fight for that 7th spot wild card. So I don't think they're going to go any higher than that. But the Bears need a desperate win over Detroit. They need a win more than anybody that I know, and it could start right here whenever Mr. Trubisky gets back facing Detroit. So let's get into the NBA. Let's do a hot take per usual. We're going to start off with that. I'm going to go to Freddie first. Freddie, I need a hot take on the NBA, and I need you to unmute your mic.
Yeah, please. Dude, it's crazy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. My Los Angeles Lakers locked down LeBron James and Anthony Davis, 2 of the top 5 greatest players in the game. I'm not going to get into that part. So we got Montrezl Harrell. We got Wesley Matthews. We got Dennis Schroeder. We still have KCP. We have Marc Gasol. We still have Kyle Kuzma. We're not just going to win the championship this year. We're going to win the championship next year. What am I saying? We're going back to back to back. LeBron James know what he has to do to become an all-time great Laker. He knows what he got to do. And guess what he got to do? He got to do a three-peat. He got to do a three-peat. And guess what's going to happen? I don't see why this team cannot do a three-peat. Why not? They have the two top. They have the greatest. They have the stars. They have great role players. And they have the coaching. And it's in L.A. We doing a three-peat. But you know what? That might not even be a hot take because we already know that's facts.
All right, whatever. Let's go on to Coach Cam. Coach Cam, I need a hot take for the NBA.
I'm just tired. Freddie, you're banned from hot takes because you really have the worst hot takes, bro. The worst.
It's hot in here, Chris.
Hot for nothing.
Hot take for me, man. The Milwaukee Bucks, right? You know, we thought they had an exciting offseason, you know. You had Drew Holiday, you know, that's definitely a player that's definitely going to make them better. You know, and you look at Chris Middleton, you know, that's definitely, you know, a 20-point scorer, close to a 50-40-90 guy, you know, definitely solid and formidable. Not getting Bogdan, you know, that was just kind of weird. You know what I mean? You know, just the whole scenario was kind of weird. You know, it kind of sets yourself up. You think your team got this, and then you don't. I'm going to go on a limb and say, a hot take and say, that during the season, Giannis will announce he will not resign with the Bucks, and he's going to force a trade. I think he's going to force a trade up out of there, and kind of because you know what, Giannis is a good guy, and I think he's going to give Milwaukee a chance to say, hey, look, you know, maybe we need to get some pieces in return, you know, possibly for it, because no matter what he says, you know, and Giannis, like I said, he says the right things, you know. I don't see him staying in Milwaukee. I just can't see it. Not the way this team is constructed. I mean, they have to really make the finals, and I still don't see them making it, even with these moves that are made. I think they can, but they're not. You know, I wouldn't put them. I wouldn't have them beating Boston in the series. I wouldn't have them beating Miami in the series. Really, and I was about to say the Philadelphia 76ers. You know. The new look 76ers, I want to see them. I definitely want to see them. But if they definitely improve, you know, like I said, Chris got the inside scoop on how bad Brett Brown is. So
the worst coach in the league.
So apparently that's supposed to be a huge.
Keep it up, Freddie.
Bro, Freddie, you always talking on mute. Like,
You're doing great, by the way.
This dude is terrible.
But what Coach Cam got to remember about the 76ers, they're what can go wrong, will go wrong.
They're not. What are you talking about?
Yeah, in the last couple of years, they are, Chris. I mean, really longer than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did? We're not going to get into this, Coach Cam. I'm sorry. Please go ahead. I can't. I'm not going to waste your time.
No. You're good, but I just think, you know. At some point in time, I think Giannis is going to see that, you know, you want to be considered one of the great. You want to be considered that champion. It ain't going to happen in Milwaukee. It's just not going to happen there. And I don't like the coach, Budenholzer, either. Not playing your dogs 40-plus minutes in the playoffs where you're back against the wall and you're having Giannis out there for 33 minutes. That's not going to do it. That's not going to do it for me. And I think, you know, Giannis, as a star, you want to be out there. You want to go out there like, hey, if I lose, let me lose playing 46 minutes, not 33. So I think eventually he'll ask out.
Chris, we'll move it to you. Need a hot take for you on the NBA.
Yeah, Coach Ken, we definitely going to come back and talk about that, you know, that Giannis situation, because I see a possible AD type of trade because they really were the same type of people, you know.
Yeah.
But my hot take. Now, they called this particular person crazy. They said everything he said was delusional. They said he was more delusional than Freddie, and that's a hard thing to do. LeVar Ball said years and years ago he's going to get all three of his sons into the NBA. And now all three of them are in the NBA. And instead of critiquing these guys, which a lot of people do, if you honestly watch them play, you see the leaps and bounds they have taken from Lonzo from being in high school to where he is right now. Honestly, one of the best two-way point guards in the game, to LaMelo being a top 3 draft pick when everybody called him crazy to say LaMelo would even make the league. Look at him right now. To Jello, the unfortunate incident, what happened to UCLA. But if you watched him work over the past couple of years, you've seen his game improve. You've seen him improve. He's with the Pistons right now. I know we're going to get into that later. So all 3 of Ball brothers are in NBA. Hot take. They will all play together. And when they all play together, they will dominate the NBA. I don't know when it's going to be, where it's going to be. If it's in Charlotte, playing with Michael Jordan, it's crazy. I don't know where it's going to be. It don't matter. Because when I really look at them, you talking about Jello being 6'7", 6'8", that can do everything Zion can do athletically, that can actually shoot. That if you watch them play, he is the better shooter because he shoots a real jump shot. I can't wait for him to prove himself with the Pistons. Like I said, we're going to talk about that later. Melo being 6'8", a point guard that can distribute like his brother, that can score better than both of them, that is still young, raw talent. And Lonzo that's proven to be that defender, that playmaker. His offensive game is even improving year after year after year. If all these 3 dudes, all these 3 brothers are on the same team, I really think they're going to dominate the NBA because, I'm just picking back on what LeVar said. And if you watch them in high school, they killed high school as babies. I mean, whatchamacallit, LaMelo was like 13, 14 years old playing against high schoolers, averaging over 15, 16 a game. Lonzo was arguably the best. No, not arguably. He was the best point guard in his class, one of the best players in his class. Jello was doing his thing. I mean, to get recruited and to go to UCLA, you have to be a very, very good player. They were all babies doing that. Now they're all grown men. Now they're all over 6'7". Really, I can't wait to see. I keep talking. Jello's built like a tank. So if he plays like how he's been working out for the past couple of years, he will have a great career. And when all those 3 guys are in the NBA on the same team, I don't see anybody stopping them.
I think a lot of people forget back in their state championship run, Jello was actually the leader in points on that team. Exactly. I mean, that guy had his thing going on. I mean, he's got a hell of a shot whenever it came down to it. And I mean, the guy plays bully ball down low too. Whenever for at his size at the time, he was
40
definitely
inch vertical too, 40+ inch vertical. So he's athletic.
But I don't know if mine is as much as a hot take as it is just something I want to discuss real quick. And let me just double check to make sure we're not going to talk about this. Ooh, actually, we are. Okay. Save it for later. All right. I'll save my hot take for later so we can go back to the ASAP banner because we're going to get into me a little bit here and what I have to say about that. But let's go on to the next one. Let's talk about a team with a lot of question marks, at least a lot of questions that need to be answered. The people living in the basement in the Staples Center. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Clippers. They've got 2 gentlemen out there running their basketball team in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. But let's talk specifically about Paul George. Is it time to call Paul George overrated? Have we reached that point where we can start saying that and making a legitimate argument for it? I'm going to turn to Coach Cam first. Cam, what do you think? Do you think he's properly rated? Do you think he's underrated? Do you think he's overrated? What's your stance on Paul George?
It all depends on, how you rate Paul George. Now, for me, I think he's about, where he should be. I don't consider Paul George. I've never really considered Paul George a superstar. A lot of people throw a superstar that word around loosely. Superstar, there's only a handful of those. There's only a handful of superstars. I consider him a star. Star to all-star type of level. But far as when you considering, a superstar or anything like that, no. So I don't think he's overrated. Paul George is what he is now. He's a player that can, on any given night give you 30. A great 2-way player, good defender. Can very versatile, can play positions 1 through 4. However, it's always that postseason hump, and he really hasn't really played well in the postseason consistently since those Eastern Conference Finals Indiana days. Ever since then, it's been a kind of a struggle, hit or miss. When he was with OKC, it was hit or miss. And this year, he struggled in the bubble. So, he is who he is. I think the injury did set him back a little bit. Far as far as his overall, I think just confidence, but He is who he is. I don't consider him as being overrated. He's about where he should be. He's a star in this league. He's an all-star level player. But we know that at times he's not gonna show up in the postseason, and it's gonna be times where he's gonna drop 30 in the postseason. That's just the player he is.
Freddie, I'll turn it to you. Do you think he's properly rated, overrated, underrated? Where do you stand on Paul George?
He's properly rated in the regular season. I mean, he's a great player in the regular season. He'll show up, give you big numbers. He's overrated in the playoffs. I mean, come on, we've seen it the last couple of years. Like Coach Campbell started OKC when Dame Dollar put that shot on him and waved goodbye to him. I mean, hey, aren't you supposed to be that two-way player? Aren't you supposed to be that great defender? And you let Dame Dollar do that to you? Come on, man. And then we seen it in the bubble going against Dallas, seen him going against the Nuggets. This dude did not look good at all. This dude was breaking shots on the side of the basket. I mean, this dude, he's overrated in the playoffs. I would not be surprised if he traded during the season because the Clippers is on the watch now. Kawhi Leonard is a free agent next summer, and he's not going to try to sit around and just lose. He's won a championship. He's chasing the championship, and it's going to be interesting to see how this year goes because Paul George have not got it done in recent history. So hopefully he get it. Well, I don't hope he get it done, but hopefully for him that he gets it done.
Chris, I'll turn it to you. Over, under, or properly rated?
And Will, I want to say one thing. I'm proud of your moderator saying that the Clippers are in the basement. I'm very proud of you. You said a really good thing.
All right. Whenever it comes to the two teams, I mean, we know, okay? Like, we know who they are, okay? But other than that, I mean, they're not in the basement of the NBA by any means, but in the Staples Center, we know where they're at. Chris Brown, I'll move it to you. Over, under, or properly rated for Paul George?
Now I'm a Paul George. I was really a Paul George guy. I mean, like I said, I said before, I don't know if I said it on there, but I'll say it on there if y'all haven't heard me say it. When you talk about pure talent, Paul George is really one of the most talented players in the game. When you're talking about pure talent, he's the most talented player on the team. But he doesn't show it every game like Kawhi shows it, and that's the problem. Paul George is starting to talk a little bit too much for a guy that doesn't perform in the playoffs. Like, I'm just like, when you talk about great players, even if a guy doesn't have postseason success, if he performs well but his team lets him down, that's one thing. But when you're the reason why your team is losing, when you're supposed to be that guy, when you talk like you're that guy, when you act like you're that guy, when you get paid like you're that guy, you got to perform like you're that guy. And is he overrated, underrated, rated fairly? For that sense, he got to be overrated. I mean, to talk about Doc, how you talked about Doc, saying, "Oh, Doc used me this, Doc used me that. We didn't make no adjustments." All that should have been nipped in the bud in Game 7. You should have never let it get to Game 7. You should have performed better in the playoffs, but you folded. But now you want to blame Doc. Like, Paul George now, and like I said, I'm a Paul George fan, but he's starting to have too many excuses not to perform in the playoffs. If he would have performed, if he'd have been performing in the playoffs, nobody would be calling him overrated. But the fact that you talk so much for a guy that's playing like a bum, you need to sit down. You shouldn't be talking. Take the quiet route. Be quiet. Work out. You run in your mouth, but you have nothing to show for it. Like Freddie said, you play good in the regular season. Very good in the regular season. All-star level in the regular season. All-NBA level in the regular season. But when it comes to the playoffs, you're nowhere to be found. So if you're not going to perform in the playoffs, you shouldn't be talking. Shouldn't be getting paid like you that guy. You shouldn't be trying to get special treatment from the Clippers when you shown. I mean, quite frankly, when you talk about ruining the chemistry, you want to act like you big and you bad. That is the reason why so many players are gone. The way you act and the way you carried yourself. And this is not how I'm saying. These are all the reports coming out. I mean, at least Kawhi showed up except for Game 7. At least Kawhi was showing up in the playoffs. At least Kawhi seen him take over. No offense, Coach Cam, because I'm a Mavericks fan, but hit 5 straight mid-ranges in the same spot in the playoffs to win the game. Paul George, where are you at? You had maybe 1 or 2 games the entire playoffs. So, I mean, for him to talk as much as he do, prove something. You ain't proved nothing in over 7 years.
You know what the Clippers should do? They should trade Paul
this
George
week
to
to Washington
for Bradley Beal. Get Bradley Beal on the Clippers because I think Paul George best teammate to play with is Russell Westbrook. Why? Have you seen Russell Westbrook them together? Paul George is in the conversation for MVP, and that was mainly because of Westbrook. Westbrook gave him the ball. He set him up to be in MVP contention. So that's the best trade for the Clippers and for Paul George.
It ain't best for Paul George when he don't perform in the playoffs. It ain't best for the Washington Wizards to take a guy that's not better than Bradley Beal. Now, I do agree that Paul George is not better than Bradley Beal. I do agree, though, however, that I've been saying that the Clippers need to trade Paul George. I don't know which team is going to take him on, but I've been agreeing to that. I will take a very, very solid point guard of somebody that knows the role as a number 2 instead of somebody trying to be a 1B or 1A with Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi Leonard, he's proven that he can win when he's that main guy with solid role players around him. Paul George, he's better than Siakam, but he's not playing better than Siakam, and that just says it all. That's all I got to say on that. Paul George, stop talking about my new coach if you ain't going to perform well in the playoffs. Don't blame him because he used me like Ray Allen. He used me like this. I seen you in pick and rolls. I seen you in the playoffs have the ball in your hand to make decisions. You folded. Play better. You still my guy, but can't talk it if you ain't walking it.
My thing is whenever, and I'm sure you guys all agree as well, you got to look at whenever you're talking about over underrated, you got to look at expectations versus reality. And right now, whenever I look at it, whenever I was breaking down the games in that final series against Denver in the postseason in the bubble, you want to talk about having a 3-1 lead for the Clippers and then letting it all go. How in a game 7 you're going to drop 10 points? How? If you're going to be 1A, 1B, even if you're going to be number 2, how do you drop 10 points in a game, in an elimination game in which you've had the lead for 3 games now and you let it go? I mean, it's tough. He had 2 different games where he dropped only 10 points in the postseason against the Denver Nuggets team, and that's kind of embarrassing, especially if you're going to be a 1A, 1B, at least if you want to claim yourself as that guy. He needs to know his role as a pure number 2. It doesn't really – his stardom is – I'll say this. He's a great player, obviously a great two-way player. We know that. But whenever it comes down to it, he doesn't have what it takes to lead a team. I mean, he needs somebody else with him. He needs a supporting cast, and he needs to accept that fact that he's not the number 1 guy. He's a star in the league, sure, but he is not the guy who's going to change your franchise. And whenever it comes down to it, just because of that, I have to put Paul George in the slightly overrated area. I'm not going to sit there and push him all the way completely overrated. We know exactly who he is. But it's starting to lean that way. It's definitely starting to show that we may not be all for Paul George like we thought we could be whenever he was in Indiana. But let's move on. Well, Freddie talked about the Wizards and talked about a trade. Let's talk about a Wizards trade that happened. We're going to talk about the trade between Russell Westbrook and John Wall, something that we've seen speculation for a while. The Washington Wizards will receive Russell Westbrook, while the Houston Rockets will receive a first-round pick as well as John Wall. It's going to be interesting to see almost a one-for-one swap, including a pick. Chris, I know you're the big John Wall fan, so I have to go to you first. Let's get your opinions on this trade.
I mean, at first I thought the rumors were false. Believed in the fact that watching every single interview, watching him and Bradley Beal talk, I thought they wanted to play together. So once I seen a rumor, I'm like, are they true? They're the same player. But once it finally happened, I'm like, okay. And I'm not going to speculate anything until those 2 guys talk about it. I was just shocked on it. But to talk about, ask the question, who won this trade? The reason I'm going to say Houston is the fact that they got that 2023, I believe, draft pick. It's a player for player. They're arguably the same player. So it's hard to match it up. But when you get that draft pick, I think that helps you, for the future. When I look at John Wall saying he wants to play with, somebody like James Harden. Now, Bradley Beal wasn't a guy that needed the ball in his hands 24/7, though. James Harden is a guy that usually plays more on the ball. So it's going to be I'm going to have to wait and see how that pair is going to match up. But I think it's going to match up well. Both are 2 playmakers. Both can score. John Wall, when he was healthier, was a way better defender than Russell Westbrook is. Then when I look at the fact that they had Boogie Cousins, he's getting his old college teammate back. They together have a bond. Those 2 together coming off injury, those 2 together are going to try to prove everybody wrong. I think that's going to create a very, chemistry and auras are real, ladies and gentlemen. Just because you got players and names on a roster don't make you good. Lakers were so good because they had that chemistry, that aura. So with those two guys returning, when everybody want to play with each other, that's going to be something great to see. And I think they kind of want to trade. But just to touch on Washington, when I look at Russell Westbrook, right now he's playing with a guy in Bradley Beal, opposite of James Harden, that doesn't need the ball in his hand. So Russell Westbrook can go and play more on the ball. We're going to see how that works. Can he lead this team to the playoffs? Maybe he can. Is he the true number one on this team? I honestly don't think so, but we're going to get on that later. But he's playing with his old coach in Brooks. So I think that's something to talk about. He's playing with somebody he's familiar with. So I think it was sort of an even trade. I don't understand the trade, but I think Houston won the trade because I think, they got the better player.
All right, we'll move over to you, Freddie. What are your thoughts on this trade, the Wall for Westbrook?
It was the craziest trade I ever heard of. I mean,
thank you. I don't like it at all.
I've listened to the reporters where they're saying that Harden and Westbrook, their relationship is kind of sour. Bill and Wall, they traded Wall from the Wizards because they trying to keep Bradley Beal in Washington, and Houston trying to find a way to keep James Harden. If I'm James Harden, I want to get the heck up out of there even faster now because you traded for a dude, John Wall. No disrespect. We all know what John Wall is before injury. Okay, we know this dude. This dude healthy. We know this dude is a locomotive running down the court fast. He can get teammates open. He can, attack the paint. But neither one of them are the best shooters in the game. So I mean, they're both even players. Okay. So but I will say this: Bradley Beal is about to have his best career ever, I believe, with Russell Westbrook. I think Bradley Beal and Paul George are on the same level on the offensive end. You talking about people that can score? We seen what Paul George did with Russell Westbrook. This dude was in MVP contention. Okay, so I believe you had a Russell Westbrook of Washington with Bertrand. I might have screwed his name up. With a Ish Smith, with a Thomas Bryant. I think this dude is Russell Westbrook can lead this team to at least an 8 seed. An 8 seed at least. We seen him in OKC and Paul George by himself. He was able to do it then, so why wouldn't he not do it now? I think he'll go back to averaging a triple-double yet again. But yeah, the trade didn't really make sense. You traded for a dude, similar contracts, a dude off injury, and this is Houston's way of saying, okay, James, here, we want to keep you here. If I'm James, I'm packing my bags even faster and trying to get the heck up out of Houston. This was a and I know Chris mentioned the first-round pick. Yeah, first-round pick don't really matter to James Harden. I mean, he's looking for right now. He's not looking for the future because the future don't affect him because he's trying to get up out of there.
Matter to the Rockets, though. That's why I said it. He won the Rockets or the Wizards, not James Harden. And
I'm going with the Wizards one, and just because you bring Westbrook and Bradley Beal together, and I expect Bradley Beal to have one of his best seasons with Westbrook. But I mean, it's really hard to say who won the trade because it was a dumb trade.
All right, we got a half and half. We got one saying the Wizards, one saying the Rockets. Coach Cam, you got to be the voice of reason here. Who's taking it home for you?
Who's taking it home for me?
Say what you want to say. What you want to say.
I
know what you want to say. So say what you want to say, Coach Cam, because I know. What you want to say.
It doesn't help neither. Neither team. It doesn't move the needle. It's the same exact player you're almost getting, and then if you're Houston and you're trying to keep James Harden happy, I understand that he possibly wanted Westbrook or wanted Wall. But it's just like that just doesn't move. It doesn't move the needle. A 2023, first round pick. That possibly could be a lottery pick. But if you look, so that possibly helps them. So maybe Houston, But at the end of the day, it's this. If you're gonna blow it up, blow it.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to hear.
Blow it. If you're gonna do this, blow it up. You're prolonging the rebuild process by doing trades like this. All it does is just set you back and take you longer for you to get assets and get pieces. Harden wants to get. I know he wants to get up out of here. It was a article today was saying that Silas is giving him his space. Like, yeah, he's probably looking at this trades and seeing what's going on. Is like, yeah, get me up out of here. I agree with Freddie on that. So, but you look at the Wizards and then you look at Russell Westbrook and what's going to happen down there. I feel bad for Bradley Beal. I feel bad for him because now you're talking about a player that is going to give you 36 and 6 a night, and now you're probably going to bring in someone like Westbrook who just doesn't seem to grasp and understand that he has to be that second guy, that you cannot take the most shots on the team, and that Bradley Beal needs to be taking it. Think about it. Russell Westbrook had several years where he shot more shots than Kevin Wayne Durant, who is arguably the greatest scorer.
Never should have happened ever.
So how does that happen? When you have a scorer as efficient as Kevin Durant, how do you shoot more than him? So I feel that's why I say it's about the same. Harden's gonna want to be up out of there, and then I'm going on Bradley Beal's side. I'm like, I feel sorry for you, brother, because you're gonna be having possessions where you see Russ run right down there, do not pass, do not do anything, and throw up some garbage. You're gonna see about 10 possessions of those again, and it's frustrating to watch.
For me, and we've reached the point where we hit my hot take, by the way. I think the Houston Rockets have won this trade, mainly just because of the first-round pick. But I'm also going to go out on a limb, and this is where the hot take comes in. Whenever the Houston Rockets, it's been confirmed that that James Harden still wants out. And James Harden's going to bring a hell of a return no matter where he goes. I mean, it's not going to be a cheap price tag for anybody. I think for some reason, even though Coach Cam wants them to blow it up, they're still going to find a way to be in the postseason at the end of the season. I didn't know if it was as much as a hot take if I thought it was, but it's one of those. I think John Wall, whenever he comes back, he's going to have something to prove. I think the DeMarcus Cousins signings was another. It's an interesting signing coming off of injury and everything, and there's a lot of question marks. But both players, as Chris mentioned, both have a lot to prove whenever it comes down to it, and both are going to be playing with what they probably feel is a target on their back. And no matter where James Harden's going to go, they're going to get a big return. And now, whether that be to Brooklyn and you're going to bring in somebody like a Culver or maybe an Allen or maybe a Dinwiddie, I'm trying to think of some other teams that he could go to. Somebody like I know Philly's been thrown around in there.
Just don't get rid of Simmons or Embiid. Anybody else is off the market can get rid of them.
And so if he goes over there, you're looking at somebody like a Tobias Harris. You're looking at some other role players, maybe such as another flip on Danny Green. There's there's a lot of players that you could be looking at whenever it comes back to the Houston Rockets. And so because of that, I still like their chances at making the postseason, even though they're going through all this turmoil, even though they're questioning whether or not they should blow it up and just completely restart over. But it's one of the situations to where I, for some reason, still have faith that this team's going to find a way into the postseason. So no matter all the trade rumors and all the everything that's going around with this organization, they're still going to find a way. So
you and me both will.
Let's turn it over. Let's talk about the other part of the Washington Wizards duo, well, now former duo at this point. Let's talk about Bradley Beal. We've talked about it multiple times on the show that John Wall and Bradley Beal are real good, both on and off the court. Whenever it comes down to it, they have a brotherly bond. And now they're bringing in Russell Westbrook, who let's just say loves to have the ball in his hand, for lack of a better term. Is this time for Bradley Beal to ask to be moved as well? We just saw John Wall get moved. Is it time for Bradley Beal to go up into the front office and say, hey, you need to move me too? Freddie, we've already heard your talk a little bit on it, so why don't you go ahead and elaborate?
Yeah, Bradley Beal should have been gone a year or two ago. So we all, I'm pretty sure we all going to agree. I mean, Washington is wasting this dude talent. This dude should have been an all-star last year, scoring averaging 30 points.
All-NBA. Forget all-star.
All-NBA team last year. Scoring, averaging 30 points a game. I mean, this dude can score in all different kind of ways. It does not matter. But just hopefully the dude can end up on a team that's going to respect him and on a contention team. I think Paul George, like I said, Paul George for Bradley Beal is a good trade in my eyes. Definitely for the Clippers, it upgrades them. You know what you're going to get out of Bradley Beal. He's not going to hide from the moment. And I think Westbrook and Paul George, they're meant to be. I mean, this dude was an MVP in the MVP race when he was playing with Russell Westbrook. We cannot deny that. He was, he's OKC. Everybody's talking about this dude could be the MVP that year.
Chris Brown, how would
You
you
don't
feel
remember that?
before you respond to Freddie? How would you feel about Bradley Beal coming to your Sixers?
Bye Tobias. See you. Give me Bradley. What like I'm just going to flat out answer this question. Should he be traded? Should he demand for a trade? I believe so, and here's why. You're going from a guy in John Wall that didn't have to take 45 shots a game to be effective. Sorry, Russ Westbrook. I am a fan of you, but just looking at your numbers, dude, you shoot so many shots to be so inefficient. It's very, very disgusting. Everybody wants to talk about shooting. Everybody wants somebody to shoot, but to shoot Russell Westbrook numbers is disgusting. He is never going to understand that he needs to be a number two, and no fault to him. If it's in your DNA, it's in DNA. You just need to be on your team by yourself with a team full of shooters and just go play your type of basketball. If I'm Bradley Beal, that's not the type of basketball I want to be a part of. So, yes, I'm demanding for a trade. You know, touch on Freddie said, yeah, Paul George playing like MVP candidate. Where was that in the playoffs? So, I mean, like this, why would I trade for
regular season?
Regular season doesn't mean anything at all. Everybody knows this. Where was that in the playoffs? You had a chance to prove it, and you got punked every time you were with OKC. So if I'm Washington, I mean, unless they're giving me so much more, if I'm any team, why am I trading for a guy when I don't care what you do in the regular season. You're supposed to help me win a championship, but you can't even lead me out the first round. So that's my thoughts on Paul George. But yes, like I said, with Bradley Beal, I'm demanding a trade. I don't think Russell Westbrook is a better fit. Like I said, he's a guy that doesn't understand he needs to be a number two, and he doesn't understand that you should not be taking more shots than somebody that is a proven efficient scorer. But he's never going to understand that. You, like Freddie says all the time, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Russell Westbrook is becoming an old dog. Obviously, he's not going to learn this new trick if he played with Kevin Durant. You know, if he played with James Harden and didn't change his game, he's not going to change the game with somebody that averaged 30 and 6 last year. That took a big leap. So, yes, Bradley Beal, if I'm him, I'm demanding a trade. If you want to come to Philly, call my guy Daryl Moore. He's been making a lot of moves. Go ahead, take Tobias Harris. Go ahead, take Danny Green. Go ahead, take Mike Scott. Go ahead, take some draft picks. You can have them. You bring me Bradley Beal. I think though, Bradley Beal asking price is going to be a lot. We're talking about a guy that everybody knows. Who cares about the fan vote? Who cares about the media vote? Let's talk about the guys in the league that acknowledge how great he was. I mean, he averaged 30 and 6. Oh, people say, he's in a bad team. That's what he's supposed to average. There's a lot of guys on a bad team that can't even average 12. So I don't want to hear that. That 30 and 6 is real. He's real. His asking price is going to be a lot. But if I'm any team, I'm pulling the trigger. I'm getting him.
Coach Cam, 3 for 3. Do you think it's time for Bradley Beal to request a trade?
Not only should he request a trade, he shouldn't wear Washington Wizards jersey again.
Yes, my guy, Coach Cam.
He shouldn't play for the Washington Wizards ever again. You know, this is a team that has refused to do anything outside of that duo of John Wall and Bradley Beal. They've not, you know, tried to really press and try to get that third player next to them too. They never even tried to give Bradley Beal help where it's perfect. What can go wrong will go wrong, and that's exactly what's happening, you know, with the Washington Wizards. You know, it's time for him to get out of there. And sometimes the best way to get up out of there, because he can request a trade all they want. Washington Wizards, they're that type of organization where they'll just hold on to you anyway and be nasty and let you rot there. So I wouldn't put on the jersey. You know, I would be that serious. Let them know that, I'm holding out, man. Y'all got to get rid of me. You know, it's time to move on. It's time to part, separate ways. But, Bradley Beal, the ultimate professional. He's going to suit up. He's going to play hard. He's going to, be that all-star level caliber player. But if I'm Bradley Beal, I don't play for the Washington Wizards. I don't play another minute for him. I don't dribble another basketball for him in their uniform.
Well, before you go, I just want to say one thing. Like from everything Bradley Beal has said, all he says is he cares about winning. He cares about winning. He said in interviews, hey, listen, if Washington is not showing that they want to win, I want out of there. So I don't know if he's going to wait to see how this duo works. Or like Coach Cam said, take the route. Listen, I'm not playing. Y'all doing this. I'm not with it. Trade me. But I will say if he plays, if the duo is starting to show that it can work, I don't think he'd demand a trade this year, but if it's showing that they're not winning, he's out of here. And that's the bottom line. This dude wants to win. So if this organization isn't going to help him win, I think that's when the demand to trade talks are really going to start popping out here.
There's a lot of teams that could really use a Bradley Beal, and Washington Wizards are not one of them. I mean, they need to accept the fact that they just got one of the most ball hungry players in the NBA, and you need to just accept the fact that you need to keep that man with the ball, and you need to not have another star there, because you can still get a lot for somebody like Bradley Beal, as Chris mentioned. I mean, there's a lot of role players and a lot of other people that you can bring around to surround Russell Westbrook if you send him to another team. And there's a lot of teams out there that could use a Bradley Beal. We're talking about somebody like a Golden State. They just lost Clay. Could you imagine if he was out there with Golden State? I mean, that would be such a big addition to bring back. It's not the same player, that Clay is, but I tell you what, it'd be a hell of an addition to any team. We're talking about a Philadelphia 76ers team that could really use some help at shooting guard. That'd be an amazing addition as well. Talking about other teams need shooting guard, Brooklyn Nets. This is another team that Bradley Beal could go to a lot of teams and be very successful. And he doesn't have to be the star anywhere, but the thing is he's still going to put up his star numbers. We know exactly who Bradley Beal is at this point. Probably one of the more underrated players in the NBA. The guy got no love whenever it came to the NBA teams, the All-Star teams, whatever it may be. And it's because you're on the Wizards. It's Bradley Beal needs to get out and get to a team that's a little bit higher market, a little bit of a team that'll do some appreciation for him. Show him, give him some love for the player he actually is. And I'm with Coach Cam. Unfortunately, I know Bradley Beal is a very much a professional. I don't think he would do something as extreme as that, but I'm never putting on that number 3 for Washington again. I'm sitting on there and I'm saying, look, you're moving me. This organization is Coach Cam's favorite saying. What can go wrong will go wrong. It's time to move me. I'm done playing with it. You guys haven't done anything for me, so why should I continue the favor for you? Bradley Beal owes them nothing at the end of the day, and so why not just go ahead and take off, go find yourself somewhere else to play, because you ain't going nowhere good being in Washington right now. But let's talk about Freddie's Lakers. We knew we were going to get here eventually. We hadn't talked about the Eagles enough. We hadn't talked about the Lakers enough. Let's get to one of these teams. Let's spice things up a bit. The Los Angeles Lakers just made 2 really big extensions. We're looking at LeBron getting a 2 years added to his deal for a total of $85 million, and we're looking at a 5-year supermax deal for $190 for Anthony Davis. These are some big contracts. A lot of money being thrown around in the Los Angeles Lakers organization. I'm going to start with Coach Cam because he's going to be the most calm about this. I want to get your thoughts on the 2 extensions for the Lakers and LeBron James and AD.
It's a little surprising. I thought that AD wouldn't go for the whole 5 years. I thought it would be more of a 2-year deal or a 1-and-1. I thought, I think LeBron's that 2-year extension, that's like a 1-and-1 as well, I believe. So I thought AD would go more towards that. But I think Anthony Davis is leaning towards the whole thing is, once LeBron leaves, he kind of takes over as the face of the Lakers organization there. But what that does do, Freddie, is, you've been talking about we're going to get that 3rd star. What those 2 contracts does is, it prevents that from happening unless you make trades. Unless you gut a lot of the roster. So I don't see that 3rd superstar happening with those 2 guys signing max deals. But, it does show that they're locked up, so they're going to be formidable for a while. And, they're going to be championship contenders, as long as those 2 are together and long as they stay healthy. However, they are the favorites, and they're going to be the favorites. I'm not saying it's just a shoe-in to win it all yet. But however, with them 2, with them 2 locked up, they're going to stay, championship contenders, So, you to look out for the Lakers, regardless, you have them 2, they're going to make it happen.
We know Chris is going to have something to say about what Freddie's going to say. So for the sake of time, I'm going to make Freddie go first. Let's get your opinions on these 2 extensions.
Not really. I just wanted to address, the LeBron's first. I was going down my Facebook page and I see Laker fans talking about oh, that's too much for LeBron. That's he's gonna be 40. That's too much. Well, hell no, I ain't no bandwagon come to the Lakers now. Hey, I've been a Laker fan since I came. Hey, I was a baby as a Laker fan. So yeah, it's one thing you can't say basketball. I'll roll with the Lakers.
He just admitted he's a bandwagon Packers fan, but that's neither here nor there. Freddie, give your take. I want to hear it, please.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of Laker fans saying it's too much. Like, listen, Laker fans, listen, people in general. This dude came to the Lakers when he didn't even have to come to the Lakers. He brought in Anthony Davis. Like, dude, like, stop it. He's the reason why we won the championship. He's the biggest reason why we won the championship. This dude did not have to select our team. He could have went anywhere else the hell he wanted to, but he chose us. Okay, so if this dude wanted the Hardy contract, $50 million for 2 years, for 2 years, $100 million contract, he could have got that too. So let's stop it. Let's pump the brakes. And this dude is putting us in position to win championship for the next 2 to 3, or be in the contention for the next 2 to 3 to 4 years. Okay, so stop it. Now, Anthony Davis, I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised that it's 5 years because all we kept hearing was 1 year plus 1 plus 1, 2 plus 1, whatever. But this dude signed 5 years, so we got to give props to Rob Pelinka and the Buss family, because I mean. Hey, and on the back of the LeBron thing, that shows what the Lakers do to their stars, man. We gave Kobe that big contract, I believe, like $48 million for 2 years, like the tail end of his career. This is what the Lakers do. Jeannie Buss, then the Buss family, period. Even when it's back to Dr. Jerry Buss, this is why we have big free agents decide to come to the Lakers, is because they know we're gonna take care of our stars. This is why the Lakers are not afraid to spend money. And Coach Cam. Hey, you said we're not gonna have enough money to get a third star. I still believe in the Lakers. They will find some way. They will find a way to get a third star if they need to. But hey, I'm just happy that I'm a Laker fan, that we're not the team that's winning 17 games no more, that we're not winning 20 games no more. I'm just glad that we're back in contentions, and I'm glad LeBron James and Anthony Davis is on my squad. And we're going for number 18 on next year.
All right, Chris, what do you have to say about the 2 extensions?
Well, I will say this. Freddie touched on something. LeBron saved Lakers because a lot of Lakers, not saying you, but a lot of Lakers fans became Warriors fans. Now they jump back to being Lakers fans because LeBron went there. LeBron saved the Lakers organization from being disappointed. When I look at the Lakers, they have stints of greatness and then they're trash. States of greatness, then they're trash. LeBron saved them from a 5 to 6 year window where they were going to be an average team, and Lakers fans weren't not going to know what to do with their life. So for him to sign that contract, you can honestly make an argument he deserves more. Not only for him being the best basketball player in the game, but for him being the most important player for this team right now. So I thought that was the contract he deserves. But when I look at AD, I thought he was going to sign a LeBron special, a 2-1, a 1-1. Everybody knows that's a LeBron special. I'm thinking he's going to sign that. They're going to evaluate after those years. But what that showed me is that he has some faith that now for the next 4 to 5 years, they're going to be championship contenders. And even if LeBron retires in 2 years, that, he wants to stay on that team and try to do something on his own. I think he deserves every penny of that contract. But when I look at his team, they're not scared to go over the luxury tax. I mean, they're going to get all the TV contract money. They're going to get all the money that they need to. They're not scared to go over the luxury tax because they know they're putting themselves and their team, that organization, in a great way to win a championship. Now, Freddie, is no way they're getting a third star without gutting that entire roster and having no bench. I'm going to be honest with you. That's the only way you're going to have a third superstar. You're going to have a lot of minimal guys on the bench. And right now, this is the best duo in the game. I don't think it's close. I don't think you really need a third superstar. What I do think, and the fact that you got now, just to talk about the Lakers, to give them big ups because I'm an NBA fan, the fact that you got more scoring with Montrez, the fact that you got more scoring with Dennis Schroeder, all that is going to equivalent into that third star, that third option, the points that you needed. Those what those two guys bring. That's why I'm a firm believer you don't need 3 stars if you have the right role players. And so, like I said, they're not scared to go to luxury tax when you get a Montrez, a Dennis Schroeder. KCP is supposed to have a better year. When you get those type of scores, you don't need a third star. So you lock up your 2 best players, by far the best duo in the game. It's another duo coming, but we're not going to talk about that because they didn't get to the status that AD and LeBron got. So they deserve all the respect that they've been given. They deserve this contract, and For all the whole head saying it's a lot of money, it's a new NBA. The NBA is making more money than it was back then. So yes, these players are going to get unbelievable contracts.
You know, it's crazy though. I was listening to Kyle Kuzma. He had his media availability today, and the reporter asked him, "Hey, when is you getting your contract extension?" And he said, "Oh, my agent and the Lakers are actually talking about it now." So, I mean, the Lakers seem really high on Kyle Kuzma because he's got saved a lot of time with the trade with AD. He got saved the year we got AD. He got saved this off year.
So if they get a right package for Kuzma, he's gone. And I like Kuzma, and the Lakers seem to like Kuzma, but he disappointed them last year. So if they get somebody that can play that role better than him, he is gone. With the fact that you got Dennis Schroeder and Montrez now, you don't really need somebody to be that consistent third scorer. So if he doesn't step up, he's gone. And they can say they're talking about an extension. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get an extension. But talk is cheap. Everybody say you can talking. But they can really be talking about a trade. He don't know.
Yeah, know what I'm saying is that he's just real lucky that he haven't got traded yet because
right. He should have been gone.
Yeah,
he should have been gone. This is his year to prove it. Like I said a couple shows ago, we talk about a player that if they don't prove it, they're gone. For me, that's Kyle Kuzma, and I love Kuzma, but I think you talk about he's not a defender. He's a defender now, but all his offenses need to improve and be more consistent.
Yeah, no, I mean, if anything, it could all be smoke, from the Kyle Kuzma comments. Because, I mean, with everything going the way that it's going with this Los Angeles Lakers team, even if things are going bad, you're not going to, between Kuzma's agent and Rob Pelinka or, everybody, negotiating the contracts, you're not going to be the one guy to put the sour taste in the Lakers' mouth and be like, yeah, no, it's not working out. We're not talking about contracts right now, because that's going to put a weird look on Kyle Kuzma and the rest of the Lakers, especially with after they just signed both of the star players, two of the top players in the league. They just signed them to a big extensions. You've made decent moves in Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell. You've made a lot of moves in this offseason. And then if you want to be the one guy who comes out and puts a sour taste in Laker fans' mouth, being like, yeah, no, we're not talking about contracts right now. Like that's just going to be like, it seems insignificant, but it really would rub a lot of people like the wrong way. But whenever it comes down to it, I mean, I'm more shocked whenever it comes to the Anthony Davis deal, similar to y'all about the years. The years were definitely interesting because we heard a lot about 2 year, 2 and 1, maybe a 3-year deal just to kind of ride out with LeBron. But now, with LeBron only signing an additional 2 years, and he had an option this offseason, so he's only going to be there for 3 more years, and Anthony Davis is racked up for 5. It's interesting because, we didn't know exactly what Anthony Davis wanted to do. Didn't know if it was ring chasing or what it may be. But now it's going to be after LeBron's gone, and it's still going to be Anthony Davis's team. And that's more interesting than anything. And to the comments that Chris had mentioned about, it's too much money. This is LeBron James is still the best, one of, if not the best player in the league right now. All right. And it's not even a debate. He's still up there top 5 easily whenever it comes down to players at his age, and he's still up there. And yeah, okay. It's a different, like Chris said, it's a different NBA. You're going to throw that money at somebody like that to secure it, because without LeBron, I mean, your team takes a significant step back. You might as well sit there and lock him up, throw him whatever money he needs to see, because I mean, at the end of the day, having LeBron, obviously, no matter what team you're on, it significantly increases your chances at winning a championship. So I'm more shocked. Like I said, I'm more shocked about the years with the Anthony Davis deal, but I'm not shocked that both of these deals got done at the end of the day. So before we go on to our 1 through 3, let's hit on a quick topic real quick. And Chris Brown addressed it in his hot take earlier, talking about the Ball brothers eventually playing together. So let's talk about this little deal for LiAngelo, talking about the 1-year deal with the Pistons. Let's get everybody's just quick reaction, quick thoughts on it. I'm going to start with you, Freddie. What are your thoughts on LiAngelo going to Detroit?
It's just another step for him to be a Hornet next year. Lonzo's a free agent. He'll be a free agent next year. And I expect I would not be surprised if Michael Jordan is trying to push the needle to get them both in Hornets with their brother. So, hey, I mean, I'm happy for him. Like Chris said, LeVar Ball, yes, he did it differently. But if Archie Manning can do it, if the Kardashian dad can do what he did, why can't why can't LeVar? So I'm happy for it. I'm ready to see the show.
Coach Cam, what are your thoughts on LiAngelo getting a 1-year deal with the Pistons?
I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the kid, individually, just because he's a middle child.
Yeah.
Forgotten about. You know what I mean? You hear him. Even LeVar talk about him. Like, yeah, you hear him talk about Lonzo, how pumped him up, pumped up Lamelo. Oh, he's gonna be the best. And LiAngelo, he just kind of he says good things about LiAngelo. He does say good things about LiAngelo. But it's just like far as nationally, and all of us know he's just swept under the rug. So I am glad that he's able to showcase his talents. Hopefully, he can make the Detroit Pistons and make their roster. But I do kind of agree. It's kind of kind of getting set up for them to kind of all play together, maybe in Charlotte. And that'll be interesting. Jordan might have some up his sleeve there, not only for them on the basketball court, but as far as marketing as well. You're talking about Jordan sneakers, Jordan apparel. I know they have some. I know they did their own thing, and but there's some things that has to be in the work, and I think Jordan is trying to exhaust those options.
Oh, Coach Sham, what you say about that? They got their own brand. Don't worry. Jordan's already whispered in Lonzo ear, all the ear saying, hey, come on over here to Jordan, baby.
I saw a comment in there from my good friend Madison Ewan who said, what happened to Kobe being the greatest? I said that LeBron is one of the greatest right now. Okay. Well, if you saw the debate, I went with Kobe. Okay. I needed a debate. All right. But moving on. Chris, we already know how you feel with LiAngelo.
Mhm.
We know that you're excited for the Ball brothers, but why don't you
Mhm.
go ahead and elaborate a little bit on it?
Yeah. I'm excited for LiAngelo. LeVar, everybody called him crazy, but I think he deserves a round of applause for supporting all three of his sons. And just to talk about, because he's a middle child. He didn't have the same route. Both his brothers were lottery picks. But one thing that LeVar said, everybody called him crazy. They called him crazy a lot of things, and if this comes true, oh my God, I can't wait. He said, give LiAngelo 3 or 4 years, he's going to be a leading scorer in the league. And let me tell you why he says that. Let me tell you why. Not saying he will, but he'll have a good NBA career. This dude, yes, is a better shooter than all three of his brothers. When he played overseas, he shot over 41%, shooting about 6 threes a game. High school, I know it's high school, but we've seen players get drafted out of high school. He was averaging 30 plus points. I mean, this dude knows how to score the ball. He's now grown to, they say, 6'7", over 240 plus pounds. He's built like guys like LeBron. He's built like guys like Karl Malone with that athleticism, having a 40-inch vertical. I think hopefully he makes the roster. I will say, though, I wish he would have signed, he was with OKC Blue, their G League team. I wish he would have signed with the Oklahoma City Thunder and got a chance to play over there, just because I feel like with them being in true rebuild mode and actually a GM that actually knows basketball, he would have got actually a chance to play over there with a roster that is not like the Detroit Pistons roster. When you look at their roster, they have 15 power forwards, small forwards, and he plays really that 2-3. But in this NBA's positionless basketball, so they can be like a stretch forward. But they have so many wing players, I don't know where he's going to play. I hope he does get the opportunity, and when he gets his opportunity, be like everybody else. I hope he gets more than one chance. Just if things don't go right with this Piston organization, I hope another team, picks him up. I hope he gets a chance to play in preseason, because I do think LiAngelo can have a successful NBA career, and I'm happy for him, happy for the Ball family. Can't wait to see, like I said, all three of those guys in NBA at the same time on the same team dominating.
Yeah, I'm if I had to resonate with anybody that the three of you said, the person I resonate most with is Coach Cam. Whenever he said the middle child kind of forgotten about, LeVar does say some good things about LiAngelo, but we knew whenever Lonzo was coming out, it was always Lonzo, and then LaMelo's going to be even better than Lonzo, and then it really came down to where's LiAngelo in all this. And he was getting ready to go off to UCLA, and then that incident overseas and everything such as that. But just due to the unfortunate events that he has seen, man, the fact that he's finally now getting his opportunity is it really speaks to not only, we say Lamar and we say, Tina Ball and everything like that, but it also speaks a little bit to LiAngelo as well. I mean, the man's a dog. The fact that, he had basically everything up against him whenever it came down to it after the incident over in China, and and he kept going after it. He played a little bit of amateur ball and then pro ball overseas and everything such as that, and he kept working, he kept grinding, and we saw improvements in his game. We saw him get bigger, we saw him get faster. We saw him grow a couple inches as well. I think it's a great move for Detroit because, I mean, why not? Why not just take the chance? I mean, if anything, it's a chance. It's a 1-year deal. I mean, there's literally no wrong in trying it. You might as well just throw your name in the hat. You might as well sign him up and give him a chance to at least make the roster. So, yeah, why not? I don't think there's any reason to hate this deal. So let's wrap it up in normal ASAP fashion. We have our 1 through 3 rankings per usual. And man, do we have some big names on this list. And I think I'll go ahead and say Chris Brown's list signature line right now. All 3 of our lists may be different. Chris says it every single week. So let's go ahead and address who we have this week. We're going to start up in Milwaukee with the big man Giannis Antetokounmpo. Going over to Brooklyn in the man Kevin Durant. And then wrapping it up in Los Angeles with the man Kawhi Leonard. And, 1 through 3 ranking these 3 gentlemen. I'm going to start off with Freddie just because you were the only one to give me a reaction whenever I said those 3 names. I want your 1 through 3 list first.
Really, all of it should be the same. There's only one right answer. We talk about all answer healthy. Number 1, I'm going Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is nearly 7 feet tall, can shoot over you, who can shoot out the parking lot, shoot the 3, the mid-range. He can do it all. I mean, this dude, yes, people want to, yes, I say going to Golden State was his weakest move. Yes, I'll still say that. But let's be honest. Without Kevin Durant, they wasn't winning the finals. That dude, at times when he was at Golden State, he carried their franchise to win a championship, okay? At times when they needed to score, who did they go to? They went to Kevin Durant. Even though they had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, we knew Steph Curry all the time did not show up in the playoffs. But they had Kevin Durant. They didn't have to worry about that, okay? Number 2, I'm going Kawhi Leonard. Why? You talking about one of the best two-way players in the game. Talking about who can lock you up on defense, who can score. You talking about Mr. Robot to come in there. He have questions about his leadership role, but he goes in there, he does his job, and he leaves. You talking about what he did when he was at Toronto, even though it was with luck, he got lucky twice. He goes the bounce over for the 76ers. And then you talking about going against you. Who talking about easy? Talking about when Kevin Durant was playing that series, no way Toronto Raptors would have beat the Golden State Warriors. Let's face it. But he is a 2-time champion, a 2-time MVP. And then you have to put Giannis number 3 because we know what this dude does in the regular season. This dude put up big numbers. This dude. He led the league, and they had the number 1 team in the league. I mean, but when the playoffs come, he did not show up. So until he can show up, until he delivers a championship, you cannot put them ahead. You cannot put him ahead of those 2.
All right, we got KD with Kawhi, and then Giannis wrapping out the list. I'm going to move to you, Coach Cam. I want your list 1 through 3. Who do you have between these 3 stars?
It's tough for me, but. I think I have to agree with Freddie. on this. I'm going with KD. KD number 1. He's so smooth, man. 7 foot, can do it all. Like I said, he's the most gifted scorer that we've seen, in a long time. Can score at all 3 levels. And people don't slip on his defensive skills, but before the injury, he improved a lot at Golden State. Talk about rim protection, being able to guard 1 through 5 when they went small. So it definitely he expanded his game definitely before the injury there. You know what, Frey? I'm not gonna go with you. I'm not. I'm gonna go Giannis, man. I'm gonna go Giannis Antetokounmpo. Just because Kawhi, we talk about right now. 1 through 3, we talk about right now. Everybody wants to talk about Kawhi as this, defender, and I didn't see it. I didn't see it in the bubble. I haven't seen it recently. Everybody talk about Kawhi supposed to be this lockdown defender. Kawhi didn't stop Luka. You know what I mean? I feel like the referees and injuries stopped the Mavericks. It wasn't no perimeter defense of no Paul George or no Kawhi Leonard. And then in the next series, Jamal Murray scoring that wheel on him. And they tried to put Kawhi on him. And there wasn't much resistance there. So I think right now I think we're looking at Kawhi in his early Spurs days, and we're holding on to that far as him defensively. But right now, defensively, he has not been the Kawhi Leonard that we know and the two-time Defensive Player of the Year that we know and grown to love there. So I do have Giannis at number 2 because he's a back-to-back MVP right now. You talk about a player that's won, MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year. That's you're a rare feat. You talk about him and Jordan. That's rare. You're not getting that. Every year, or that's something that you just don't see often. I know he has his little shortcomings in the postseason or whatnot. But however, that's his teams, man. They're not making shots, and you can see the way he's being guarded. Giannis, they put a wall around him. It's 4 players in front of him when he comes down the court. So that's the type of respect he commands. And number 3, I got Kawhi, man. He's a great player. 1 through 3, they're all great. However, like I said, the defensive end of the floor for me, I don't think he's been that defender like people say, and to it's something to be said, when you're up 3-1, I understand. Like I said, I give Doc a lot of, I said it before. Doc Rivers, I thought, should have put some different buttons. But however, when you're a caliber player like that, you got to bring one home. I'm talking about just sheer on your back. Forget the X's and O's. When you're up 3-1 and you gotta bring one of those games home, especially when you're a superstar like that. So let's just have a bad taste in my mouth. So that's my order: KD, Giannis, Kawhi.
All right, slight difference there for Coach Cam's list. Chris Brown, where do you sit with these 3 gentlemen?
Well, I think number 1, it should never be a debate. Kevin Durant. You're talking about a guy, Freddie said he is 7 feet. He is the best ball handler out of these 3 guys. He is, in my opinion, the most gifted scorer of all time just because he can score. And no disrespect to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you hold the most points of all time. We're talking about scoring. That is you. But when I talk about a guy like Kevin Durant, you take away the 2-3 seasons he missed the injuries, those 4 years, he's up there close to LeBron right now. People forget this is not the first time Kevin Durant missed a significant amount of time because of an injury. This guy can score all 3 levels. Like Coach Cam said, his defense, he was really going to make a couple all defensive teams, like how he was playing over there in Golden State, being able to rim protect, being able to switch on a lot of things. Kevin Durant is the number 1. Now, number 2, it's tough. But I have to go Kawhi, and here's why. It is definitely luck that you got past my Sixers, but it wasn't luck what happened when you played against the guy who's going to be number 3 in Giannis Antetokounmpo in the Eastern Conference Finals. We talk about defender, and I admit couldn't really stop Luka. Jamal Murray gave you 40 plus in Game 7, which I'm going to get onto. But when you went against Giannis in the head-to-head matchup, him guarding Giannis affected that whole series. The Bucks were up 2-0. Kawhi was on him. Kawhi really, he picks and chooses, kind of like how LeBron is now. He picks and chooses when to play defense, which happens because of all the injuries. You're really a lot on offense. You pick and choose when to play defense, which is fine. Yeah, I do admit, though, people got to stop holding on to the fact that he's not a San Antonio Spurs defender where he's going to guard everybody 100 miles per hour. He's not going to do that no more. His offensive game improved. And that's why he's really number 2. He still has the defense. And on the offensive end, this dude game from when he came into the league to where it is right now. I mean, he can get a bucket on all 3 levels of the court. No, he's not the same shooter as KD, but he can knock down a 3-pointer. He can get to the basket, and he has a killer mid-range. Like I said, I brought it up earlier. No offense, Coach Cam, but I've really seen this dude hit 5 straight mid-ranges. And there's no reason why Max Culliver or whatever his name is should be guarded Kawhi Leonard. He tried his best, but he really hit.
Yeah, man, that was bad.
It was bad. He hit 5 straight mid ranges on him, and that's no knock for him. I like him, but him guarding Kawhi Leonard, he just should have never been in that position to begin with. But Kawhi Leonard to me is the better overall player. Even though you call it luck or whatever, he did win that championship. He has 2 championships. He has 2 Finals MVPs. He led his team. When you look at a guy like Giannis, Giannis had opportunity to beat Kawhi Leonard. If he'd have beat Kawhi Leonard, he would be number 2. Giannis, hasn't shown that he can do it in the playoffs. And Coach Cam touched on it. It was really tough. That fact that they played each other is the reason why it's not flip-flop. Because when I look at Giannis, he never really had star players. He really never had, I want to say star. You got Chris Middleton, But when you look at that Toronto Raptors run, you got Kyle Lowry and Siakam. I wonder how this year is going to be when you have Drew Holiday and you have Chris Middleton. But right now, Giannis, he's dominant. I don't think he's the best player in the league, though. I say they overrate him because give him 2 times MVP, didn't deserve it this year, didn't deserve defensive player this year. But he's showing that he plays more defense than Kawhi. But Giannis just has to do it for me in a postseason. It's not all on him, but his game has to improve. And he's just number 3. It had nothing to do with championships. It had to do with head-to-head matchups. KD's the best player. Kawhi's number 2. Giannis can make argument, but he's still number 3 for me.
So I'll finish on my list to say that I'm right here with Freddie and Chris. So I'm just going to hit it quick. Kevin Durant, we all agree there's nothing more I can really hit on the top. There's nothing more I can hit on the man. I mean, everybody has said everything you need to know about Kevin Durant. Regardless of missing time, he is still significantly better and underrated as a defender, in my opinion. Talk about a guy who's never made an all-defensive NBA team. Talk about a guy, who's can lock down, can play all positions, or can defend all positions 1 through 5, and is still not seen in that recognition standpoint whenever it comes to that, at least not from the media and everybody else. So I'm going to go with Kevin Durant 1. With number 2, I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard, and mainly just because not only the playoff success for Kawhi back in the past, but also he can score at all levels as well, while Giannis is missing the 3-point shot. And yes, of course, he's a power forward. It's not exactly his game whenever it comes down to it. You don't expect all big men to be out here shooting 3-pointers, but it's a significant drop off whenever you're looking at the 3-point game between Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're talking about a guy who's putting up 25% behind the arc. It's not great. Obviously, he's outstanding at what he does. Giannis knows exactly the player he is, and at his size, at his speed, at his build, I mean, I'd do the same exact thing. But whenever we're talking about it, we're talking about an all-around player. We're talking about why we're ranking these players 1 through 3. And whenever it comes down to it, Kawhi just has more success in the postseason, and his all-around game is more successful as well, between his scoring and his defensive ability. So Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and then Giannis Antetokounmpo at the 3. What's up, Chris?
Now, I will say this. If Kevin Durant was healthy last year and Kevin Durant would have won and he would have won finals MVP last year, there's the whole conversation that I will not get into tonight. But Coach Cam, you picking up what I'm putting down?
Mm-hmm.
3 back-to-back, 3 finals MVPs back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
The run he was starting to have,
Mm-hmm.
the respect people would have had to put some respect on it. What you mean? Nobody, Freddie, he doesn't deserve respect for that?
No, he deserves respect, but not what you about to say. I know what you about to
I
say.
said what I was about to say. He deserves more respect. I said that. You're trying to insinuate something. I wasn't trying to insinuate it.
I'm sorry, I'm sleepy. I thought
well, I will say this though. Now I'm going to insinuate it. I think LeBron's the best player in the game. But if Kevin Durant would have won 3 straight finals MVPs and the playoff run he was starting to have, if somebody would have told me, and we're going to end it like this, somebody would have told me Kevin Durant's the best player in the world, I wouldn't argue.
There we have it. Folks, it's 12:33 in the morning, at least on my Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
It's time to wrap it up.
Right, tired.
The 4 of us have been on live for 5 consecutive hours now, or 4 at least. It's time to call it. Thank you, everybody who went ahead and joined us on Real Talk. Thank you, everybody who joined us in the debate as well. Congratulations yet again to Champ Cam down here in the corner. Congratulations on the dub. Can't say it wasn't a hard-fought battle, but, man, to go from the debate to Real Talk, I hope you guys like us because you guys saw a lot of us today. But until next time, we'll be back on Monday, and we will catch you in the next one.
I'm sorry, sir. We never recounted. The count is already over. Good night.
It was a joke. I got to the finals. You didn't.
Hey, before we wrap up, Chris Brown did say that the 2 winners, the final 2, being me and Coach Cam, should take on the 2 fellas from Jock Talk. Mm-hmm. So we may need to figure something out about that. Maybe we'll look into another round of debate.
Well, before we leave, I got something for Chris.
What's that?
Oh, disrespectful for you to say something like that.
I'm gonna say it every day.
You missed
it. No.
Oh, okay.
You missed the delusional. and he can't say nothing to me because I beat you. Now let's end it off like that, Will.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining us on ASAP Real Talk, and we'll catch you on Monday, y'all. Y'all take it easy.
Peace.
All right, peace.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.